Today I'm talking to Paul Newman, who is working in Oxford University in a field of research of great topicality, right in the middle of the news. So, Paul, why are driverless cars so much the issue and in the news?
Well, they've been in the news for a while, and I do quite often think, why is this such a fulcrum? Well, everyone drives. Well, a lot of people drive. We all move around, and transport's broken. We maim, we waste time, we pollute, we all get frustrated. 90% of all accidents are caused by humans doing the one thing that machines won't do, which is getting distracted. It's an unnatural area in some ways because there's such a love affair that people have with their cars, and so that makes it somehow quite a difficult area to introduce new technology. And I think it's one of those things that have been promised for so long. You can go back to Jetson.
Nobody believes it's about to arrive.
Well, and that's the thing about technology, isn't it? Everyone sort of, it's interesting. We've got this thing that we do where we always think the new technology is going to arrive really, really soon, and we overbill it, and then we underestimate it in the long term. So there has been this, is that really going to be possible? And we have such a sort of an emotive human response to what it means to be driving and the accidents, and it's everywhere. I mean, you see cars every day, and it's big business, and the world's going to change through transport, and cities are broken, and I think it's sort of a projection of a revolution that's coming as we see smart machines coming into our lives everywhere. And for me, it's never just been about the cars.
Somebody, I think, if I was a member of the public, most of whom I think would be pretty fearful of the idea of going in a driverless car, right?
Have you been in one?
Well, I've been in one of those things that you get in the airports where they just...
it's in a canal, so
they've got exactly. You feel secure with that, don't you? Yes. If you're driving along a road, though, which is open, you're not going to feel secure, so there's bound to be some sort of psychological barrier there.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you should come in our car, because the first few seconds you're like, ooh, that's odd. It's remarkable how quickly you start going, oh yeah.
You should be afraid of it.
No, why should we be afraid of machines that are going to save our lives? More parents will keep their children, and more children will keep their parents because of this technology. It's just not okay the way we drive at the moment.
But what is the evidence on that? Is it that that really a driverless car would save lives?
Well, here's why. So we don't have enough cars to do the counting that we need to do that yet.
Right.
But here's what we do know is that 90% of accidents are caused by human inattention.
Indeed.
And that is the one thing that a machine will never do. It will never be distracted by the 3-year-old on the back seat. It will never get a bit tired. Now, there are things that machines can't do yet. I don't think there'll be any things that machines can't do. That's a bigger argument about AI.
Well, and also the question, are they going to replace us? But that's a big issue.
They're going to amplify us. Technology amplifies us.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
So I'm pathologically positive about that, and I think that's a really important piece of messaging. And maybe we can talk a bit later about the bigger picture of robotics as driverless cars as a small part of robotics and what that's going to do for us. So no, I mean, I think there's a moral imperative upon us as engineers to do a better job with the machines that we spend our times with.
Right.
And it's just not okay. It's obviously
to leave things as they are
would be dumb.
Yes, indeed.
And we shouldn't do dumb things.
Now, another thing that might assuage people's anxiety here would be to know a little bit of what you actually do to make a driverless car. You give it a brain.
Yes. Yes. That's quite a good analogy, actually. So sometimes I speak of the vehicle in which we're going to put autonomous vehicles, software and algorithms as having a body up to a brain stem. So there are sensors in it. It has an ability to move. It's physical. It's got mass. It's got kilograms. It's got atoms. And then we put the bits in. So sometimes I talk about bits to move atoms. Right. Both the digital bits, but also the components. And so the software then becomes, if you like, a cortex over the top. And as a first pass, you could say there are 3 questions: where am I? What's around me? And what should I do? a fourth one comes in on, and what should I tell you about that? How should I share that data?
To just feedback, yes.
Well, and sharing it across a fleet.
Yes.
So there's one. So if you were to
Right.
have an accident yourself, have you ever had a ding in a car yourself when driving? You
I
a
have
small
not had the
accident?
experience.
Oh, you're better
of it.
than me.
I should.
So when I had a car accident, and it really shook me, and it was my own mistake.
Right.
And what I thought after that was that it was a private hell. So my confidence was knocked, and I was really worried because I thought, I'm not sure I would do anything differently now after that accident.
Right. So
I
what's the
just
guarantee
made a
that
mistake.
it wouldn't happen again?
Well, indeed, but it was not okay from my experience not to be shared. So as a human, it was personal. But if you think about an autonomous vehicle, if it saw something or was in an unexpected environment and there were consequences and something unusual happened, that outcome and that learning should be shared across all of the cars. And that's exactly what humans can't do.
Yes. So they interact.
They interact and they share
like a
each other's
society.
experiences. So
Yes.
every time there's an accident, we should reduce the probability of there being an accident ever again. And that's not what we do as humans.
No, that's true. Yes.
So that's stupid, so we should fix that.
Yes. Now, the bigger question, which I'd like to finish on, Paul, is the revolution that's happening already, but where's it going in the longer run? There's the natural fear that conceivably scientists and engineers are going to more or less replace much of what we do. Is that conceivable?
No.
Right, that's a very straight answer.
No. So that's like saying... I mean, we had these questions around, early computers and,
Yes.
all these jobs are going to be lost. But now count the new kinds of jobs that are created around the IT industry, from installing networks to making network cables to refilling printer cartridges. New technology moves us on. We don't have agrarian poverty in the field now because we have tractors and we could grow enough food for ourselves.
Indeed, right, yes.
Technology fixes things for us and it amplifies ourselves. So that's not to say that we shouldn't just go, it's all going to be fine. There are questions that need to be answered collectively by society and not by the engineers.
Well, for example, what does the insurance industry do?
Indeed. And that's funny you say that because I'm working a lot on insurance.
I see, right.
And insurance is about trust.
Yes.
Insurance is about measuring risk. Insurance is about providing security for those that are next to the vehicles.
Exactly.
And nothing works without insurance. And there's an interesting thread of work going with some of our partners, XL Catlin, in insurance on how would a vehicle or a robot communicate with the insurer to say, it's a little bit harder here, what would you like me to do? So the insurer might say, actually, take a different corner, drive slower, there are more children in the corner than you expected. And so there's, I think, a really interesting feedback loop through the algorithm development, through the perception, through the data sharing, through to the management of risk across a fleet. And sometimes I say, I believe we're close to a time where a fender bender in Copenhagen makes someone's job safer in Cape Town that afternoon because the data is being shared by the insurers.
Okay.
There's an extraordinary world ahead of us.
Right, indeed. Okay. Final question for you. The government the government here in the United Kingdom, and of course we're broadcasting worldwide, so I have to specify that. Indeed. The government in the United Kingdom seems to have woken up to the need to encourage this transition. Am I correct? And what has happened?
Look, so absolutely, the government here for a good few years now has had a really good attitude to robotics and autonomous systems.
Right.
It really has, I think, understood that this is like computers coming again. So now we can point at a technology and say, this is coming. They're never going to be fewer, smarter machines, and they're going to be moving around amongst us, working for us, keeping us safer. And so there's quite a lot of good joined up thinking now about how do you stimulate in the UK and nurture an ecosystem that makes bits to move atoms.
Right. And you do that by taxing or reducing? Or?
Well, I don't think there's one lever for any of these things.
Right.
You do this by encouraging companies to start, small companies, entrepreneurship. one of the best things I've done in my life is starting a company spinning out of Oxford called Oxbotica. That's been fantastic. You do that with targeted research agendas. With Innovate UK, you do this by having resident experts in the civil service who are there to advise on what policy changes need to be made.
Right.
And I think they're doing a really good job on that, encouraging the trials. I mean, I've been working with the government. We got the first vehicle on the road in 2012 here with an old Nissan Leaf. Well, it was new at the time, but now it's the old Nissan Leaf.
So we've already been doing this for 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, I started putting the vehicles on the road in 2012.
I bet most of the public does not know that.
Well, here's the moment. But no, so, and you know, if you go out the door there now, you're likely to see one of the Oxford self-driving cars driving around.
Yes.
But I wanted to get one really important point across, if I could. It's not just about the cars.
Please.
It's so much more. It's, as a species, we move a lot of atoms.
Yep.
Okay, and we don't do it very cleverly. You know, is it picking up ore? Is it looking after cabbages? Is it moving containers around docks? Is it moving stuff around warehouses? Our economy is driven by us moving things.
Right.
Okay? And the same problems, where am I, what's around me, what should I do, appear in all of those industries, even on different planets. We're going to discover life, not ourselves. We're going to have our proxies, our emissaries out there.
Yes.
It's the same problems. And that's what motivates me as an engineer here, is that's a really fundamental problem. How do you have a machine, know where it is, what's around it, and what should it do? And things like self-driving cars are amazing, but they're a specialism.
Yeah.
But so's going to Mars, so's going underwater.
So you're saying the ideas and the technology you're building can apply to very many areas of life.
All the atoms that move.
Indeed.
And that's what we're doing here.
Okay. Well, thank you very much,
It's been
Paul,
a pleasure
for talking to Voices from Oxford.
Real pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good.